This is another story that John von Bronsnake sent in. Now, he sent in 2 stories a few months back, and that video is extra-dimensional beings in my room. He sent in 2 stories and posted them on a post that I put on Google+. And this is the first story. Now, this story is important because it proves a few things that I've been saying for a while. And I'm not going to read the story this time. I'm going to tell you the story, and I hope that John doesn't mind, because I read it a few times and it didn't sound so good for some reason. Maybe I'm not that good at reading the stories, or I don't know. But anyway, I can tell a story. Now, this was 30 years ago, right after John von Bronsnake and his wife Dawn just got married. They were living near Toronto in a town called Tottingham. Now, they were living in a Victorian house, so you can kind of get the picture. These big, huge houses with the 10-foot ceilings and the huge 10-inch tall trim, and very, very neat houses, and old houses, kind of haunted looking type houses when you think of a haunted house. Well, they had moved into this house, and he describes the bedrooms. Bedrooms upstairs, bedrooms downstairs, and there was one particular bedroom that seemed to be really dark. It didn't have any windows, and it just had a creepiness to it. And ironically, later they talked to someone who had lived in the house before, and they said that there was something creepy in that house, in that bedroom. Well, that wasn't the bedroom he slept in, but John felt that that bedroom infected the whole house. Well, it started with them sitting around in the living room, and they would hear something fall, so they would get up and go look, and they couldn't find anything out of place. And then at times they would hear what sounded like something being dragged across the hardwood floor, like chains or something like that, and they would get up and go look, see what it was. Couldn't find anything. Then they started hearing what they thought to be whispering, like several people at a time whispering, and they couldn't make out what they were saying, and that started to scare them a little bit. And there you go. When you start getting that fear, it seems to crack that door open. Starts making you question what's going on. And fear, I believe, is a way that these entities can get in. Well, he and Dawn had went to bed one night, and they were sleeping when John all of a sudden found himself in a very horrible nightmare. Unbelievable nightmare. He describes it just being just so terrifying. And he at some point realized that he was dreaming. And when he realized that he was dreaming, he was relieved. I don't know if any of you have had a dream like that before, but it's so bad of a situation that when you realized you were dreaming, whether you woke up or realized during the dream, you realized you were dreaming, and you were just so relieved that it was a dream. Well, he was trying to wake himself up, struggling to wake himself up, just trying and using all of his will to try to bust out of this dream. And finally he busts out of the dream and pops up into a sitting position, and there was an entity sitting 2 or 3 inches in front of his face, a black, dark, misty entity just hovering over him. And it took off and went to the wall on the other side of the bedroom, and then slid up the wall into the attic. Well, the crazy thing about this was, and what proves what I've been saying, that these entities can infiltrate your dreams, because most people are going to say that's sleep paralysis. Well, check this out. His wife, Dawn, was having a horrible nightmare, and she was just unbelievably struggling in this nightmare. She realized that she was dreaming. And when she realized she was dreaming, she started struggling to wake up. Now, they both were doing this at the exact same time. They both were dreaming. They both realized they were dreaming and were relieved that they were dreaming. And both of them at the same time sit up. And he saw this entity take off and go to the wall and up the wall, and they were both just in shock. And he asked Dawn, he said, "Dawn, what did you see when you woke up?" And she said, "I saw a smoky black mass that was hovering over me, and when I sat up, it took off and went to the wall and slid up the wall and went into the attic." Well, that right there is the first time I've ever heard of two people having their dream infiltrated at the same time, waking up and seeing the exact same entity. So this entity not being bound to time and space, such as in the scriptures, you would see that angels, good angels, went to people inside their dreams. And I've been saying all along that if a good angel could go to you inside a dream and give you a real message, such as like Joseph, Jesus' father, his stepdad, or the Magi said, "Don't go back to Herod," that these angels went to people inside the dream and gave them a message. So I've been saying for a while now that these fallen angels, these unclean spirits, these evil entities, since they are fallen, they aren't trying to bring you a good message. They're coming to people sometimes and going into their dreams, messing with them, giving them horrible dreams, and trying to do whatever it is that they are set out to do. But this right here proves that an entity like that can infiltrate, mess with you in your sleep, and then there you are, waking up to see the thing as it takes off. And it's not sleep paralysis. That is a case right there that proves it.